The black card hit the counter with a hollow click. $870 million locked. 48 hours to lose everything. Outside, a barefoot child shivered in the December cold, clutching a crumpled paper that would change both their lives forever. But no one imagined what would come next. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your location below, hit that like button, and subscribe so you never miss stories that touch the soul. The glass doors of First National Bank in downtown Boston exploded open. Michael Hayes stormed across the marble floor, his expensive shoes echoing like thunder. At 42, he'd built Hayes Technologies from nothing into a billion-dollar empire. Today, that empire was crumbling. "Mr. Hayes, please." Sandra Martinez, the branch manager, stood behind her desk, her face pale. "Don't tell me to calm down." Michael slammed the court documents on her desk. "My ex-wife just froze $870 million. Every single account. She's claiming I hid assets during our divorce. It's a complete lie." Sandra adjusted her glasses, scanning the papers. Outside, December snow fell on Boston streets. 2 days before Christmas, Michael's world was ending. "The court order is legitimate," Sandra whispered. "Judge Reynolds signed it yesterday. Your ex-wife's lawyers filed an emergency motion. Rachel planned this." Michael collapsed into a chair. "She's working with David Morrison, the most ruthless attorney in Massachusetts. They want to destroy me completely. Your business accounts are frozen too. Hayes Technologies can't make payroll tomorrow if you can't access funds." Sandra didn't finish. Michael's phone exploded with notifications. His CFO, his lawyers, board members, creditors. His company employed 400 people, 400 families. In 48 hours, they'd all lose everything. "Judge Reynolds left for Vermont," Sandra continued. "He won't be back until after New Year's. Any appeal must go through his court." She paused. "Mr. Hayes, your assets are frozen until January 8th. January 8th, 14 days away. His company would be bankrupt in 2. Michael stood on shaking legs, documents crumpled in his fist. The automatic doors opened to freezing air. Snow swirled across Tremont Street, temperature below 20 degrees. That's when he saw her, a tiny figure huddled in the bank's doorway. A little girl, maybe 7, wearing a threadbare pink jacket 3 sizes too small. Her hands were red and raw, clutching her knees. Dark hair tangled around a dirty face. No shoes, no socks, bare feet on frozen concrete. Michael stopped. He'd walked past this bank every day for 10 years, seen homeless people, donated to charities, but never really stopped, never really looked. The girl's eyes met his, brown eyes too old for her young face. She didn't speak, just watched him with devastating intensity. "Where are your parents?" The words escaped before Michael could stop them. "Don't have any." Her voice was barely audible, hoarse from cold. "They died when I was 4. Something cracked inside Michael's chest. Here he was, devastated over frozen bank accounts, while this child was freezing to death. She had nothing. Actually nothing. "What's your name?" "Emma." Her teeth chattered violently. "Emma Rose Parker." Michael crouched down. "Emma, you can't stay here. It's too cold. There's a shelter. They're full." Her voice was flat. "They're always full before Christmas." Michael reached for his wallet, then remembered. Frozen accounts. His cards wouldn't work. He couldn't even buy this child a meal. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The inadequacy of those words hung between them. He walked away, vision blurred. Behind him, Emma settled back into her corner, pulling the thin jacket tighter. Neither knew that in 18 hours she would save his life, and he would have the chance to save hers. But first, both had to survive the night. Michael's penthouse felt like a tomb. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Boston Harbor, Christmas lights twinkling across the water. The space was immaculate, steel, glass, expensive art, empty, cold, like his life. He poured scotch with trembling hands. 30-year-old Macallan, worth $3,000. He could buy hundreds without thinking, except now he couldn't buy anything. His phone lit up. James Crawford, his CFO, 12th call. Michael finally answered. "Michael, thank God. The board is threatening to remove you as CEO. The account freeze has created a cascade." "How bad?" "Catastrophic. Payroll is due tomorrow for 400 employees. We can't make it. Suppliers are demanding immediate payment or they'll stop shipments. TechCorp is threatening to pull their $20 million contract." James's voice cracked. "If we can't unfreeze those accounts in 48 hours, Hayes Technologies is finished. Emergency loans? Credit lines? No bank will touch us. The court filing is public." "Everyone thinks you're a criminal." James paused. "Your ex-wife's lawyers leaked it to the Boston Globe. Tech billionaire accused of hiding millions. Michael, your reputation is being destroyed." Michael closed his eyes. Rachel wanted maximum damage, public humiliation on top of financial ruin. What about personal assets, properties, cars? "All frozen. Everything in your name is locked until the hearing." James's breathing was heavy. "There's more. Rachel's lawyers filed a motion claiming you're a flight risk. Federal marshals will collect your passport tomorrow." Michael sank onto his couch. This wasn't about money anymore. Rachel was systematically destroying everything. His company, his reputation, his freedom. "James, dig into David Morrison, Rachel's attorney. There has to be something." "Already did. He's clean." But 3 of his previous cases had accounts mysteriously frozen right before major business deals. His clients got massive settlements because the husbands couldn't fight back. Timing was always suspicious, but nothing was proven. "He's done this before." Michael's mind raced. "It's a pattern. Knowing the pattern doesn't help. The court order is legitimate. Unless you can prove it's fraudulent or contains an error, you're stuck until January 8th. An error." Michael walked to his office, spreading documents under his lamp. Dense legal language, page after page of clauses. There had to be something. Some mistake. "Our lawyers reviewed it 6 times, James said quietly. "It's airtight." Michael stared at the papers. His father had built a small repair shop from nothing, worked 18-hour days. Died at 62, just months after Michael founded his company. "Make me proud, son." And Michael had. He'd built an empire, changed lives, and now, because of a vindictive ex-wife and corrupt attorney, it was ending. 400 employees would be jobless 3 days before Christmas. "Keep the board calm," Michael said. "Tell them I'm working on it." "What solution? There isn't. Just give me until tomorrow morning." After hanging up, Michael stood at his window watching snow fall. Somewhere out there, Emma Rose Parker huddled in a doorway. No shoes, no hope, different circumstances, same desperation. He thought about Rachel. Met at a charity gala 12 years ago. Beautiful, charming. Marriage lasted 8 years before the cracks showed. Her gambling, affairs, endless spending. The divorce had been brutal, but fair. She got 30 million and the Martha's Vineyard house. But 30 million wasn't enough. It never was. Michael did something he'd sworn never to do. He called her. "Well, well." Rachel's voice was poison. The billionaire himself, feeling desperate. "Rachel, please, 400 people will lose their jobs. Families with children. You humiliated me." Her voice turned sharp. "Made me sign a prenup. Made me look like a gold digger. You deserve this. I protected what I built. What we built. I was your wife." She laughed, cold and brittle. "Now you know how it feels to lose everything. Enjoy your last 2 days as a billionaire. By Monday, you'll have nothing." The line went dead. Michael stood in his empty penthouse, walls closing in. Outside, snow continued falling. Somewhere in that frozen city, a little girl clutched a crumpled paper she'd pulled from a trash can. A paper with words she couldn't understand, but numbers that looked wrong. Emma Rose Parker couldn't read legal documents, but she could count. and something about those numbers didn't match. Morning arrived with cruel brightness. Sunlight reflected off fresh snow, turning Boston into a postcard. Michael hadn't slept. He'd spent the night reviewing documents, calling lawyers who couldn't help, watching the clock tick toward doom. 7 a.m. His doorbell rang. 2 federal marshals, polite but firm. They collected his passport without comment. Michael Hayes, billionaire, was now confined to Massachusetts like a common criminal. By 8, Michael was back at First National Bank. One desperate hope: maybe Sandra could release enough for payroll. Keep employees paid while he fought. The bank opened at 9. Michael was first through the doors. "Mr. Hayes." Sandra's face said everything. "I called our legal department. There's nothing we can do. The court order is absolute. We can't release a single dollar without violating federal law. Not even for payroll? If we release funds against a court order, the bank faces massive penalties. We could lose our charter." Her eyes filled with tears. "I have a family too. I can't risk everything." She stopped. "I'm so sorry." Michael nodded and turned away. The lobby filled with mourning customers, normal people with normal problems. They had no idea what it felt like watching an empire crumble in real time. He walked to a corner near the ATMs, pulling out his phone. Maybe he could reach Judge Reynolds somehow. Track him down. Beg for an emergency hearing. Undignified, probably useless, but desperation destroyed dignity. "Mr. Excuse me." Michael turned. Emma Rose Parker stood 3 feet away, impossibly small in the grand lobby. Same threadbare jacket, but someone had given her 2 large sneakers. Her face was cleaner. In her small hands, she clutched a wrinkled paper. "Emma." His voice caught. "You're okay." "I was worried." "I'm hungry," she said simply, "but I wanted to show you something first." She held out the paper. "You dropped this yesterday. Outside. I saw it fall." Michael took it. His heart stopped. Page 7 of the court order. The page he'd searched for all night. "I can't read all the words," Emma said apologetically. "They're too big. But I'm good at numbers. Mrs. Chen at the library taught me before." Her voice faltered. "Before the library closed, and these numbers looked wrong." "Wrong? What do you mean?" Emma pointed with one small finger. "See? It says account 47926, but up here it says account 47928. The last number is different. My teacher said numbers in legal papers have to match exactly or they don't count." Michael's breath caught. The account number in the header was 47928. In the body, 47926. A transposition error, a typo everyone had missed. But it wasn't just any account. The order stated it was freezing account ending in 47926 and all associated accounts. Michael's main business account ended in 47928. If the order specified the wrong number, it might not be valid. "Emma, you're certain these numbers are different?" She nodded solemnly. "I checked 3 times. When you're living on the street, numbers matter. If the shelter is on 4th Street but it's really 5th Street, you freeze to death. So I'm really careful with numbers." Michael's hands shook. A 7-year-old homeless child found the error every lawyer missed, but there it was, black and white. An incorrect account number that might invalidate everything. "Sandra!" Michael's shout echoed through the lobby. He sprinted across marble with Emma hurrying behind. "Look at this! Page 7! The account numbers don't match." Sandra grabbed the paper, eyes widening. She pulled another copy from her file and compared them side by side. Her face went pale. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're right, the numbers are transposed. This order specifies 47926, but all your accounts end in 47928. She looked up. "This could invalidate the entire order." "Could? What do you mean, could?" "I need to call legal immediately. If the numbers don't match, the order may have frozen wrong accounts, which means technically yours were never legally frozen." Sandra was already dialing. "But this is complex. We have to verify." "How long?" An hour, maybe 2. We must be certain before releasing 800 million. I don't have an hour. Payroll is due in 3 hours. Sandra covered the mouthpiece. Mr. Hayes, I cannot authorize releasing that much money based on a typo without legal confirmation. Give me 1 hour. I promise I'll call the second I know. Michael wanted to tear the building apart, but Sandra was right. 1 hour, 60 minutes that felt like 60 years. He turned to Emma, watching with ancient eyes. Did I help? She asked quietly. Michael knelt to her level. This tiny child, abandoned by the world, had saved him when no one else could. Not lawyers, not resources, a barefoot orphan with a crumpled paper. Emma, you just saved my life, his voice broke. I don't know how to thank. You could buy me breakfast. She said it so simply, so hopefully, Michael's heart shattered. After everything, all she wanted was food. Yes. He stood and took her hand. Let's get you breakfast. The diner 3 blocks away was warm and safe. Red vinyl booths, chrome counter, pancakes bigger than plates. Michael and Emma slid into a corner booth as steam fogged the windows. Outside, traffic crept through slush. Inside was sanctuary. Order anything, Michael said, handing Emma the menu. Anything? Her voice was barely audible. Anything at all. Dolores, the waitress, 60, kind eyes, tired feet, approached. She looked at Emma's threadbare clothes with recognition. She'd seen poverty before. What can I get you folks? Emma's eyes darted to Michael. He nodded encouragingly. I'd like pancakes with syrup and maybe orange juice. Each request was a question, like she couldn't believe she could ask. How about eggs too? Dolores suggested gently. Some bacon? You look like you could use a good meal, sweetheart. Emma's eyes went wide. Is that okay? It's more than okay, Michael said. Bring her whatever she wants. As Dolores left, Emma carefully folded her napkin in her lap. Someone had taught her manners once, before the world fell apart. Emma, can you tell me about your parents? Michael asked softly. The little girl's face closed slightly. Car accident, black ice on Route 93. The policeman said it was fast. They didn't suffer. She recited facts like a memorized report. I went to live with my grandmother, but she got sick. Cancer. She died last year. And after? Foster homes. Emma's voice went flat. 3 of them. The first family was okay, but they moved to California. The second family. She stopped. Something dark flickered across her face. I ran away. Why? Emma looked out the window. Mr. Peterson was mean. He said I was costing them money, that I wasn't worth the state check. She turned back. The third family had 5 other foster kids. There wasn't enough food, so I left. How long have you been on the street? 2 months, maybe 3. Hard to keep track. Matter of fact, like discussing weather. Summer is easier. You can sleep in parks. The library has air conditioning, but winter is hard. Dolores returned with a plate piled impossibly high, pancakes, eggs, bacon, hash browns, toast. Emma stared like she'd never seen so much food. She picked up her fork carefully, took a small bite, and closed her eyes as tears ran down her cheeks. It's okay, Michael said quickly. It's okay to cry. I'm not sad, Emma whispered, opening her eyes. I forgot what maple syrup tastes like. She took another bite, eating with desperate urgency of someone who doesn't know when the next meal will come. Michael's phone buzzed. James, frantic. Michael ignored it. For the first time in 48 hours, his company crisis felt less important than making sure this child ate. Emma, you're incredibly smart, Michael said as she worked through pancakes. Finding that error, do you know how many lawyers missed it? Emma shrugged. I just look carefully. When you have nothing, you notice little things. Like which trash cans have good food, which buildings have warm vents, which police officers are nice. She paused. Numbers are easier than people. Numbers don't lie. Mrs. Chen at the library, she taught you? She tried. I'm not good at big words, but she taught me numbers and shapes and how to tell time. Emma's face brightened. She said I was special, that I had a gift for mathematics. I don't know what that means, but it made me happy. What happened to her? Budget cuts. Library closed in September. Mrs. Chen moved to Florida with her daughter. She gave me this sweater. Emma touched her thin jacket. It was her granddaughter's. She said to keep it and think of her when I'm cold. Michael's chest felt crushed. This child had lost everything. Parents, grandmother, home, school, the one kind person who'd shown attention. And yet, she sat here, eating pancakes, smiling through tears. His phone rang, Sandra from the bank. Michael's hand shook answering. "Mr. Hayes, come back immediately." Sandra's voice was breathless. "Our legal team confirmed it. The account number discrepancy invalidates the freeze order. Judge Reynolds' clerk admitted they made a transcription error copying your account information. The judge signed without catching it. So my accounts are unfrozen." "Not exactly. The freeze is invalid, but we need a new order to officially lift it. However," she paused for emphasis, "since the original is invalid, we can release funds at our discretion. We're unfreezing your accounts now." Michael closed his eyes. $870 million. His company, his employees, everything. Saved by a crumpled paper and a homeless child, good at numbers. "I'll be there in 10 minutes. He looked at Emma, working on bacon with careful attention. "Emma, that paper you found, the mistake you spotted, you just saved my company. You saved 400 jobs. You saved." He couldn't finish. Emma looked up, syrup on her chin. "Does that mean you can buy me lunch too?" Michael laughed, actually laughed for the first time in days. "Emma Rose Parker, I'm going to buy you every meal for the rest of your life." The little girl tilted her head. "That's silly. Nobody can promise forever." But Michael Hayes realized he meant every word. The only question was whether Emma would let him keep it. The bank was chaos. Sandra had called in the regional manager, 2 lawyers, someone from the Federal Reserve. They stood around her desk, reviewing documents, making calls, arguing about procedures Michael didn't care about. All that mattered was his laptop screen. 437,299 388.42. Unfrozen, accessible, his. "Mr. Hayes, sign these releases." Sandra pushed papers toward him. "We're documenting everything for court. Judge Reynolds' office is preparing an emergency order to void the original freeze, but that's just formality. The error invalidates everything." Michael signed without reading. Emma sat beside him, legs dangling, watching with quiet curiosity. Bank employees kept glancing at her, wondering why a billionaire brought a homeless child to a high-level meeting. "There's something else." Sandra lowered her voice. "Your ex-wife's attorney called 3 times. David Morrison is threatening to file a new freeze motion, claiming the error was irrelevant." "Let him try," Michael said, feeling steel replace desperation. "He filed based on fraudulent claims. He knows it. Rachel knows it. Will you countersue?" Michael paused. 2 days ago he would have said yes, unleashed his lawyers like attack dogs. Crush them. But now, with Emma beside him, he felt different. "No," he said quietly. "I'm letting it go. I got my money back. My company is safe. That's enough." Sandra's eyebrows rose. "They nearly destroyed you. Don't you want revenge?" "Revenge is expensive." Michael looked at Emma. "And I have better things to spend my energy on." His phone rang. James, the CFO. Michael put it on speaker. "Michael, oh thank God, Sandra called me. The accounts are unfrozen. I've authorized payroll. Everyone gets paid on time. The board is ecstatic. TechCorp is reinstating the contract. We're saved." James was giddy with relief. "Good. Schedule an emergency board meeting for Monday morning." "Already done. Michael, how did you find the error? 6 law firms reviewed those documents. A friend helped me." Michael glanced at Emma. "I'll explain Monday." After hanging up, Michael felt 48 hours of weight lift. He'd been so close to losing everything. If Emma hadn't found that paper, if she hadn't noticed the numbers, if the wind had blown differently. Mr. Hayes, Emma's small voice interrupted. Can I ask something? Of course. Why did your wife want to hurt you so bad? The question, asked with innocent directness, hit harder than any legal motion. How do you explain adult cruelty to a child who'd already experienced too much? She was angry, he said finally. She felt like I didn't appreciate her. Sometimes when people feel hurt, they want to hurt back. But hurting people doesn't make the hurt go away, Emma said seriously. It just makes more hurt. Everyone knows that. Adults forget sometimes. Emma nodded like this made sense. Adults forget lots of things. Like how to be happy with what you have instead of sad about what you don't. She kicked her legs thoughtfully. I don't have anything, but I was happy this morning. The pancakes were really good. Michael felt something crack in his chest. Not breaking, but opening. This child who slept in doorways found happiness in pancakes, while he, surrounded by billions, had been miserable for years. Emma, where will you stay tonight? The little girl's face closed down. I'll find somewhere. The shelters are full. Then under a bridge. There's one by the river that's pretty warm if you get far enough under. She described survival plans, like discussing dinner options. Michael made a decision. No, you're not sleeping under a bridge. You're coming home with me. Emma's eyes went wide. I can't. They have rules about adults and kids. You could get in trouble. I won't get in trouble. I'm doing this properly. He addressed Sandra, who'd been listening with tears in her eyes. I need the number for Massachusetts Department of Children and Families, right now. 20 minutes later, Michael was on the phone with a DCF social worker named Patricia Gomez. Emma sat beside him, holding his hand so tightly her knuckles were white. Mr. Hayes, I appreciate your concern, Patricia said carefully, but we have protocols. I can send someone to pick her up for emergency foster care. She's been in foster care. It didn't work. She ran away. Michael fought to stay calm. Emma saved my company. She's brilliant with numbers. She's survived alone for months. She needs help now. I have resources, space. I want to help, too. Sir, you can't just take custody because you want to. There's a process. Background checks, home evaluations, training. Then start today, right now. I'll pay for expedited everything, but please don't send her back to a system that's failed her 3 times. Long pause. Mr. Hayes, are you saying you want to become Emma's foster parent? Michael looked at Emma, staring at him with an unreadable expression. Yes, and eventually, if she wants, adopt her. Emma's hand tightened on his. Really, she whispered, you'd want to be my dad? If you'd want me to be, Michael said softly. Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. I don't remember what having a dad feels like, but I think I'd like to remember. Patricia's voice softened on the phone. Mr. Hayes, I can hear you're sincere, but this takes time, months usually. We need to ensure Emma's safety above all. I understand. Start whatever process you need. Meanwhile, can she stay with me under emergency placement? I'll have round-the-clock supervision. Hire a nanny, social worker, whatever it takes. Let me make calls. Don't leave the bank. I'll send someone within the hour. After hanging up, Michael turned to Emma. Her face showed hope and terror. Someone who'd learned not to trust good things because they always disappeared. What if they say no? Emma asked. What if they take me away and I never see you again? Then I'll fight for you, Michael said, meaning it with every atom of his being. Just like you fought for me when you picked up that paper. We're a team now, and teams don't abandon each other. Emma threw her arms around his neck and buried her face in his shoulder. Her small body shook with sobs. Not sad crying, but release of every fear, every lonely night, every moment she'd believed no one cared if she lived or died. Michael held her and felt his own tears fall. 2 days ago, he'd thought losing his company would be worst case. Now he understood real loss. It looked like a 7-year-old with no one to hold her, and saving her meant infinitely more than saving $800 million. 47 minutes later, Patricia Gomez arrived with another social worker named David Chen. They were professional but kind, asking Emma careful questions about where she'd been staying, how she'd survived, why she'd run from foster homes. Emma answered honestly, her voice small but steady. Then they turned to Michael. Background questions, financial status, living situation, why he wanted to help Emma specifically, what his expectations were. Michael answered everything, hiding nothing, including his divorce and near destruction of his company. "Mr. Hayes, I'll be frank," Patricia said. "Your profile is unusual. Single man, no children, wealthy businessman who just met this child yesterday. It raises questions." "I understand your concerns," Michael replied. "But look at her. Really look. She's brilliant. She's survived things that would destroy most adults. And she's 7 years old with no one who cares about her. If I can change that, give her a home, family, future, why wouldn't I?" Patricia studied him for a long moment. Then she looked at Emma. "Sweetheart, do you want to stay with Mr. Hayes?" Emma nodded vigorously. "He bought me pancakes, and he didn't get mad when I cried, and he said I'm smart." She paused. "And he said we're a team. Did he make you feel safe?" "Yes," Emma whispered. "For the first time in forever, I felt safe." Patricia exchanged glances with David, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, she sighed. "All right, emergency placement for 72 hours while we fast-track your background check. You'll need to hire a licensed home care provider during this period. We'll conduct a home visit tomorrow. If everything checks out, we can extend to temporary foster placement while you complete full certification." "How long is the full process?" "Usually 6 months. Given your resources and circumstances, maybe 3 if approved for expedited status." "And adoption?" "That's separate. Can't begin until you've been a certified foster parent for 6 months, and Emma has been in your care for minimum 12 months. We need to ensure stability and commitment." Patricia softened her tone. "Mr. Hayes, Emma has experienced profound trauma and loss. She needs consistency, therapy, specialized education support." "She'll have all of that," Michael interrupted. "Best child psychologist in Boston, private tutors, whatever she needs." "Money isn't everything," David Chen spoke for the first time. "Emma needs emotional availability, time, patience. Can you provide that while running a billion-dollar company?" Michael looked at Emma, watching him with ancient, hopeful eyes. "I'll make time. My company nearly failed this week, and you know what I learned? None of it matters compared to one little girl who needs help." Patricia nodded slowly. "I'm approving emergency placement. But understand, if at any point we believe Emma isn't receiving appropriate care, we will remove her immediately. Her well-being is our only priority." "It's my only priority too," Michael said. "I promise." Now, the drive to Michael's penthouse should have been triumphant. He'd saved his company, defeated Rachel's scheme, gained temporary custody of an extraordinary child. But Emma sat in the passenger seat of his Tesla, staring out at Boston streets with an expression that broke his heart. "You okay?" Michael asked gently. "What if I mess up?" Emma's voice was barely audible. "What if I break something expensive, or say something wrong, or—" "Emma, listen." Michael pulled over on Commonwealth Avenue. "You can't mess this up. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. If you break something, we'll clean it up. If you're scared, we'll talk. But there are no rules where you can fail and get sent away. This is your home now, for as long as you want. What if you get tired of me? What if I'm too much trouble?" Questions poured out, each revealing another layer of fear. "The Petersons said I cost too much. The Martins said 5 foster kids was easier than 6. What if—" "Stop!" Michael took her small hand. "Those people were wrong. You're not too much. You're not a burden. You're a gift. Do you understand? You saved my life yesterday. You gave me something to care about besides money and revenge and all the empty things I'd been chasing. So please don't worry about being too much." Worry about what you want for dinner, because I haven't cooked in 3 years, and we'll probably order pizza. Emma's lips twitched toward a smile. I've never had pizza delivered to a house, only from trash cans behind restaurants. Michael's chest tightened, but he kept his voice light. Well, tonight you're having it hot, fresh, and with whatever toppings you want. They pulled into the garage, and Emma stared at concrete walls like they were a palace. The elevator to the penthouse took 45 seconds. Emma counted them out loud, fingers tapping against her leg, a coping mechanism. When the world felt too big, she counted to make it manageable. The doors opened into his apartment. Emma stepped out slowly, eyes growing wider. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern art, open kitchen with marble counters, living room with white leather furniture and massive television. You live here? She whispered. Just you? Just me. But now it's us. Michael watched her process the space. Emma, I know this is a lot. It's so clean, Emma's voice held wonder. And warm. And it smells good. Like lemons? Cleaning service was here yesterday. Michael felt suddenly embarrassed by excess. This child had slept in doorways, and here he was with 5,000 square feet of unnecessary luxury. Come on, let me show you your room. He led her to the guest bedroom. Queen-sized bed, private bathroom, window overlooking Boston Harbor. Emma stood in the doorway, not entering, like she was afraid to contaminate it. This is mine? She asked. All yours. Tomorrow we'll shop and you can pick out whatever you want to decorate. New clothes, toys, books. Books! Emma's face lit up for the first time. Real books I can keep? As many as you want. Emma walked into the room slowly, fingers barely touching furniture like it might disappear. She sat on the bed's edge and bounced slightly, testing it. It's soft, she said with amazement. Really, really soft. Michael's phone rang. James again. Michael stepped into the hallway to answer. Michael, I hate to bother you, but the board needs you tomorrow morning. We have to address shareholders about what happened. PR is drafting statements. Cancel it, Michael said. Cancel what? The meeting, everything. I'm taking the weekend off. Stunned silence. Michael, you haven't taken a weekend off in 6 years. Then I'm long overdue. Handle PR. Tell the board I'll meet Monday. Right now I have more important things to do. He hung up before James could argue. When Michael returned, Emma stood at the window, small hands pressed against glass. I can see the whole city, she breathed. It's beautiful. Yes, it is. But Michael wasn't looking at the view. He was looking at Emma, this fierce little survivor who'd saved his empire and was now standing in his home, finally safe. Mr. Hayes. Emma turned to him. Can I ask something? Anything. And Emma, you can call me Michael if you want. She considered this. What do I call you if you adopt me? Do I have to call you Dad? Because I don't know if I'm ready. You call me whatever feels right. Michael is fine, or Mike, or Mr. Hayes. And if someday you want to say Dad, that's okay too. But there's no pressure. We have time to figure everything out. Emma nodded, relief washing over her face. Then she asked the real question, the one she'd been holding since the bank. Why are you doing this? Really? I'm nobody. I'm just a kid nobody wanted. Michael knelt down so he was eye level with her. Emma, you're not nobody. You're somebody who noticed details no one else saw, somebody who survived when most people would have given up, somebody brave enough to approach a stranger and show him a crumpled piece of paper because you thought it might help. He paused. And maybe I'm doing this because I need you as much as you need me. Maybe we both needed someone to save us. Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks again. I'm scared I'll wake up and this will be a dream. Then we'll be scared together. Michael opened his arms, and Emma fell into them, holding on like he was the only solid thing in a world that had always been shifting sand. They stayed like that for a long time, while outside the windows, Boston glowed with Christmas lights. Tomorrow they'd go shopping. Tomorrow, they'd meet with social workers and set up therapy appointments and begin the long, complicated process of building a family from scratch. Tomorrow, Michael would return to his company and explain to his board how a homeless 7-year-old had saved Hayes Technologies. But tonight, they ordered pizza with pepperoni and extra cheese. They sat on the living room floor because Emma said the fancy furniture made her nervous. They watched a Disney movie that Michael had never seen, but Emma loved. And when Emma fell asleep on the couch, her small body finally relaxed for the first time in months, Michael carried her to the guest bedroom and tucked her in. He sat in a chair beside the bed, watching her sleep, and felt something shift deep in his chest. For 42 years, he'd been chasing success, building empires, accumulating wealth, believing that money and power could fill the empty spaces inside him. But a little girl with bare feet and a crumpled piece of paper had shown him the truth. Real wealth wasn't in bank accounts. It was in moments like this, watching someone you cared about finally feel safe enough to rest. It was in second chances and unexpected connections and the courage to open your heart to someone who needed it. Emma stirred in her sleep, reaching out instinctively for something to hold. Michael placed his hand in hers, and her small fingers curled around his palm. She settled immediately, her breathing deepening into peaceful sleep. And Michael Hayes, billionaire entrepreneur, realized that for the first time in his entire life, he understood what it meant to be truly, completely, impossibly rich. Not because of the $800 million that had been unfrozen, but because of the 7-year-old girl sleeping in the next room, who'd traded a lifetime of sleeping in doorways for one chance at a home. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Rachel would likely continue her attacks. The board would have questions. The media would get wind of his emergency foster placement and create scandals from thin air. The road ahead would be complicated, messy, and difficult. But tonight, Michael wasn't alone anymore, and neither was Emma, and somehow that made everything else feel manageable. Outside, snow continued to fall over Boston, covering the city in white silence. Inside, two people who'd saved each other slept peacefully, one dreaming of pancakes and books and maybe, just maybe, a place to call home. The other dreaming of redemption, second chances, and becoming the kind of person worthy of a little girl's trust. The clock struck midnight. Christmas was 2 days away, and for the first time in years, Michael Hayes had something to celebrate that had nothing to do with money, success, or power. He had hope, he had purpose, and most importantly, he had Emma Rose Parker, the child who'd saved his fortune but more crucially, had saved his soul. Saturday morning. Michael woke in the chair beside Emma's bed, neck stiff, hand still holding hers. She was awake, staring at the ceiling. "You stayed," she whispered. "Of course I stayed. Ready for breakfast?" "Pancakes." "Pancakes it is." In the kitchen, Michael fumbled with ingredients while Emma watched with a small smile. "You don't know how to cook, do you?" "Not even a little," Michael admitted. Emma's face softened. "My mom used to make pancakes on Sundays, before the accident. Can I help? Please." For 30 minutes, Emma taught Michael how to make pancakes. They were lumpy and misshapen, but they were theirs, made together. The doorbell rang at 9 sharp. Margaret Chen stood there, mid-30s, kind eyes, calm presence. She saw Emma and smiled warmly. "My mother was right about you. Very wise eyes for such a young person." Emma stepped forward slowly. "Is Mrs. Chen okay?" "She's wonderful. Living with me in Florida now. She asks about you all the time." Margaret knelt down. "She'd be so happy to know you're safe." Emma relaxed into Margaret's hug. "Mr. Hayes," Margaret stood, all business. "I've reviewed the DCF requirements. I'll be here 7 to 7 for the next 72 hours. I'm also a licensed therapist, which will help with Emma's transition. Whatever you need. What I need is for you to treat this like becoming a parent. not a business deal, a life you're responsible for. Margaret's voice was firm but kind. My mother said you're a good man who got lost in success. Emma is giving you a chance to find your way back. Michael nodded. I'm learning. They spent the day shopping. Emma stood paralyzed in the children's store, grabbing things, then putting them back. Emma, pick what you like, Michael encouraged. But this shirt costs $45, Emma whispered. I could eat for a week on that. You don't have to worry about that anymore, Margaret said gently. What if it doesn't last? Emma's voice cracked. What if I get used to nice things and then... Michael crouched down. I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you. Pick the shirt you love. Slowly, Emma reached for a purple sweater with stars, then jeans, then shoes that fit. By the time they left, she had bags of clothes, books, so many books, and a stuffed rabbit she clutched like gold. That afternoon, Patricia Gomez arrived for the home visit. 2 hours of inspection, questions, observation. Finally, she sat down. Mr. Hayes, this is highly irregular. Everything about this breaks protocol. Michael's stomach dropped. But, Patricia continued, sometimes the right thing doesn't follow rules. Emma is thriving. Margaret's report is glowing. Your background is clean. She paused. I'm extending to full temporary foster care immediately. We'll fast-track your certification. Michael exhaled. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank Emma. She's taking the biggest risk, trusting you with her heart. That night, tucking Emma in, she looked up with worried eyes. Michael, I'm still scared. Is that okay? Completely okay. I'm scared too. What are you scared of? That I won't be good enough, that I'll mess up. Michael brushed hair from her forehead. But we'll figure it out together. Deal? Deal. Emma hugged her rabbit. Michael, can you stay until I fall asleep? As long as you need. Just before drifting off, Emma whispered, This is the best day of my whole life. Michael stayed long after she slept, watching this child who'd saved him. Tomorrow would bring challenges. But tonight, they had each other. Monday hit hard. Michael woke at 5:30, corporate routine refusing to die. But he didn't rush to work. He made coffee and waited for Emma. She appeared at 6:15, rabbit under her arm. You're still here. Where else would I be? The Petersons always left before I woke up. I'm not the Petersons. Let's make breakfast together. His phone exploded with notifications. The board meeting was at 9, media requests flooding in. James sent 12 messages. You have to go, Emma said quietly. The meeting can wait 30 minutes. Right now, I'm having eggs with you. Emma giggled. You put the shells in again. Margaret arrived at 7, took over breakfast, and at 8:15 Michael stood in his closet choosing a suit. Emma wandered in. You look different in those clothes, she observed. More serious. This is my work version. Which one is the real you? Michael paused. I'm figuring that out. Maybe both. Maybe someone new. I like the new version better. The office was chaos. Employees applauding as he walked through. James intercepted him at the elevator. Michael, the board is waiting. 5 minutes. Michael explained everything about Emma. James listened, amazed. A 7-year-old saved the company? A 7-year-old saved everything. And James, I'm working reduced hours now, 9 to 5. Michael, you've worked 70-hour weeks for 10 years. And I nearly lost myself. Emma needs consistency. I can't be that person if I'm here until midnight. The board meeting was tense until Michael told them the story. About Emma, about the frozen accounts, about a child who noticed what everyone missed. So you see, Michael concluded, we're celebrating human beings saving each other when we actually pay attention. Silence. Then Carol Martinez started clapping. The rest joined in. Mr. Hayes, Carol said, tears in her eyes, I raised 3 children while running technology. It made me better, not worse. Congratulations on your daughter. She's not my daughter yet, but I hope she will be. At 4:30, Michael left. James nearly dropped his coffee. Where are you going? Home. I promised Emma I'd be there for dinner. He stopped at a bookstore, buying 6 books. Then a toy store for a telescope because Emma mentioned stars once. He arrived at 5:15. Emma looked up from homework and her face transformed. "You came back," she ran to him. "Of course, I promised." He handed her the bag. "I brought you something." Emma opened it carefully, gasping at the books. "All these? For me?" That night they read together. Emma curled against him, her finger following words she recognized. Just before bed, she looked up. "Michael, at school kids talk about their dads. If I go to school here, can I tell them about you?" Michael's throat tightened. "You're going to school, and Emma, you can tell them whatever you want." "What if?" She hesitated. "What if someday I want to call you Dad? Then that would make me the luckiest person in the world." Emma squeezed his hand 3 times. Michael squeezed back 3 times, a promise in touch. Outside, Monday night traffic hummed. Inside, a man who'd spent 42 years chasing money discovered something better. The empire could wait. Right now, he was reading with his daughter, and nothing else mattered. Wednesday. They met Dr. Sarah Hoffman, a child psychologist. Emma sat clutching her rabbit, suspicious. "Emma, I'm not here to fix you. You're not broken. I'm here to help you process hard things. Is that okay? Will you make me talk about my parents dying?" "Only if you want to. We can talk about anything or nothing. This is your time." "Can Michael stay?" For the first session, yes. They talked for an hour about foster homes, being hungry, not trusting adults. Dr. Hoffman listened without judgment. In the car after, Emma was quiet. "Dr. Hoffman is nice, but I don't think I can tell her everything yet." "That's okay. Trust takes time." "When will I feel safe all the time?" "I don't know. But it gets easier every day. We prove you're staying." Thursday brought school registration. Hamilton Elementary, 3 blocks away. Mrs. Anderson, the principal, was efficient and kind. "Emma needs a placement assessment." Emma took the test while Michael paced. An hour later, Mrs. Anderson emerged with a strange expression. "Mr. Hayes, look at this." She showed him the math section. Perfect score, including 5th grade problems. "She's 7. "Exactly. Her math skills are extraordinary. However," she pulled out the reading section, "her literacy is 1st grade level. She lived on the street for months. She missed school. Uday will place her in 2nd grade with intensive reading support and advanced math enrichment. Emma is brilliant. She just needs time." That night, Michael told Emma about the test. Her face lit up at math scores, then fell at reading. "I'm stupid at reading." "You're not stupid at anything. You just haven't had the chance to learn." "We'll work on it together. Every night we'll read." "What if I can't?" "Emma Rose Parker, you survived 3 months alone. You noticed an error 6 law firms missed. Reading is just a skill. We'll practice." Emma's eyes filled. "Why do you believe in me so much?" "Because you showed me what real strength looks like." Friday morning. 2 detectives appeared at 8 a.m. Emma hid behind Michael. "Michael Hayes, I'm Detective Rodriguez. This is Detective Kim. We need to ask about Rachel Hayes and David Morrison." Margaret took Emma to the kitchen. The detectives got straight to it. "Morrison is under investigation for fraud. He's pulled this scheme 5 times in 3 years. Freezing accounts before critical deadlines, forcing settlements. We believe your ex-wife was a co-conspirator." Michael sat heavily. "What?" "1 victim came forward after reading about your case. Then 3 more. The pattern is identical." Detective Kim pulled out documents. "We need you to testify." "Will Rachel face charges?" "If we can prove she knew." "Mr. Hayes, if you testify, this gets very public. Media, trials, your life exposed." Michael thought about Emma, about protecting her privacy. "Do it. If it stops him from doing this to someone else, I'll testify." That afternoon, Michael set up a small desk next to his massive one. "What's this?" Emma touched it carefully. "Yours. When I work from home, you can work too. We'll be a team." Emma's smile lit the room. Really? My own desk? She threw her arms around him. Michael held her, marveling at how much had changed in 1 week. Michael, Emma's voice was muffled. I think I'm starting to feel safe. Yeah? Yeah. Like maybe tomorrow will actually come and you'll still be here. I'll be here tomorrow and the next day and every day after. Emma pulled back. I know I can't call you Dad yet, but could I call you something instead of just Michael? Michael's heart nearly stopped. What do you want to call me? Emma thought carefully. What about Papa? My friend Rosa called her dad that. It sounds nice. Papa. Michael tested the word, felt how it settled in his chest. I would love that. I'm sure. Emma squeezed his hand 3 times. Michael squeezed back 3 times. And just like that, everything shifted. He wasn't just Michael Hayes anymore, he was Papa. Emma's Papa. And that title meant more than every success he'd ever achieved. 2 weeks later, Michael woke to his phone ringing at 6 a.m. James, panicked. Michael, turn on the news. Channel 5, now. The screen filled with a reporter outside his building. Breaking news as Boston billionaire Michael Hayes faces allegations from ex-wife Rachel Hayes. She claims Hayes fraudulently obtained custody of a homeless girl to improve his public image following the account freeze scandal. Michael felt the world tilt. The report showed Rachel, perfectly made up, playing concerned citizen. I'm horrified my ex-husband would exploit a vulnerable child for PR purposes. The courts must investigate. By 7, his living room was full of lawyers, social workers, crisis consultants. This is bad, Patricia said. Rachel's allegations trigger immediate investigation. DCF has no choice. But I haven't done anything wrong. I know, but accusations like this create questions. We'll need to document everything. Emma appeared in the doorway. They're going to take me away, aren't they? Her voice was flat. I knew it wouldn't last. No one is taking you anywhere. Michael sat beside her, but Emma flinched away. Don't lie. I heard the TV. Your ex-wife says you're using me, that you don't really want me. Emma Rose Parker, look at me. Michael's voice was firm. I don't care what Rachel says. You are my daughter, not for PR. Because you're the bravest, smartest person I've ever met, and my life is better with you in it. But what if they make you give me back? That won't happen. I'll fight this with everything I have. Promise. I promise. Michael opened his arms. After a heartbeat, Emma fell into them, sobbing. Rachel's press conference streamed live at 9. David Morrison stood beside her, both unaware he was already under investigation. My ex-husband has a pattern of deception, Rachel said. First hiding assets, now exploiting a child. Over the next week, DCF conducted intensive interviews. They questioned Michael, Margaret, Dr. Hoffman, Emma's teachers. They interviewed Emma twice, once with Michael, once without. Emma retreated into herself. Stopped laughing, barely ate. Every night Michael read to her, but she stared without seeing. What if they think I'm too damaged? Emma whispered one night. There is no better kid. There's only you, and you are perfect exactly as you are. 10 days after Rachel's press conference, Patricia arrived with David Chen and documents. Emma gripped Michael's hand. Patricia sat down. The investigation is complete. Silence stretched like torture. Mr. Hayes, we found absolutely no evidence of exploitation. Every person testified to your genuine commitment. Emma's therapist says she's processing trauma healthily. Her teachers say she's made 2 months of progress in 2 weeks. Michael couldn't breathe. And we're recommending permanent foster placement and expedited adoption proceedings. Patricia smiled. As far as DCF is concerned, Emma is your daughter. Emma gasped. Michael pulled her close as she burst into relieved sobs. However, David added, Rachel Hayes and David Morrison have been arrested. What? The fraud investigation concluded. Morrison faces 14 counts. Rachel faces 8 as accomplice. The DA wanted you to know before it hits the news. Michael didn't feel triumph, just tired. What happens now? They'll likely take plea deals, but this vindicates everything. The account frees all of it. Proven fraud. After they left, Emma looked up. Papa? First time in 2 weeks. Michael's eyes filled. Yes, sweetheart? Can we have pancakes, the lumpy kind we make together? Michael laughed through tears. All the lumpy pancakes in the world. They went to the kitchen and made terrible pancakes, flour everywhere, laughing as they burned the first batch. Outside, the media frenzy continued, but inside, a father and daughter made breakfast together. Imperfect. Messy. Real. Spring arrived. 6 months after finding Emma in that doorway, Michael stood in a courthouse waiting room, adjusting his tie. You're nervous, Emma observed. She wore a purple dress, hair in neat braids. Terrified. What if the judge says no? Emma took his hand and squeezed 3 times. Then we'll figure it out together. That's what you always tell me. The door opened. Patricia appeared. Judge Morrison is ready. Different Morrison, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes. They entered the courtroom. Michael's lawyers at one table. The other side, empty. No one contesting. Miss Parker, please approach, Judge Morrison said. Emma walked forward, so small, standing there alone. Emma, I need to ask you something important. Do you want Michael Hayes to adopt you? Emma looked back at Michael, then at the judge. Yes, Your Honor. Why? Because he stayed. When I was scared, he stayed. When I was mean, he stayed. When I had nightmares and messed up, he stayed. He taught me that love isn't perfect, it's just staying. The judge's eyes glistened. Mr. Hayes, approach, please. Michael stood beside Emma, his hand finding hers. Adopting a child who's experienced trauma isn't easy. There will be hard days. Are you prepared? Your Honor, I used to think running $1 billion company was hard. Then I met Emma, and she showed me what real hard looks like. Compared to what she's overcome, anything we face together will be manageable. Michael looked down. I'm not scared of hard. I'm only scared of not being in her life. Judge Morrison smiled. I've reviewed everything. This is the easiest decision I've made all year. But she picked up her gavel. Adoption granted. Emma is now legally your daughter. The gavel fell. Emma launched into Michael's arms. He held her as everyone applauded, as Patricia wiped her eyes, as Margaret sobbed. I'm yours, Emma whispered. Really yours. You've always been mine, from the moment you showed me that paper. Outside, James and the executive team waited with balloons. Emma's school friends with parents. Dr. Hoffman, Mrs. Anderson, board members. Congratulations, Hayes family, James called. Emma hid her face in Michael's shoulder. There are so many people. They all came because they love you. You have a whole community now. A Carol Martinez approached with a gift. Emma unwrapped it. A leather journal with her name, Emma Rose Hayes. Hayes, Emma breathed. That's me now. The celebration moved to a restaurant. Pizza. Cake with books and stars. Her friends played while adults celebrated this child who'd survived so much. As the party wound down, Emma pulled Michael aside. Papa, can we go somewhere, just us? Where? The bank, where we met. They drove to First National. Sandra Martinez opened the door. Emma, Michael, congratulations. Emma walked to the doorway alcove where she'd slept that December night. She stood there, looking at the spot. What are you thinking? Michael asked. I'm thinking about the girl who slept here, how scared she was. Emma turned. And I'm thinking she would never believe this is real. That 6 months later she'd have a papa and home and people who love her. Do you believe it's real? Every day a little more. Sandra approached with a package. Emma, I saved this for you. She handed over a frame containing the crumpled paper with the transposed account numbers. The paper that changed everything. Emma took it carefully. Can we hang it in my room? Anywhere you want. That night, they hung the framed document on Emma's wall. Beside it, a photo from the adoption hearing. "Papa," Emma was in pajamas, ready for bed. "Will you tell me the story?" Michael knew which one. He'd told it dozens of times. He settled beside her bed. Once upon a time, there was a man who had everything but felt empty. Then, one terrible day, his ex-wife froze all his money. But on the coldest night, he met a little girl sleeping in a doorway. "And she had no shoes," Emma prompted. "No shoes and no one who cared. But she had hope and courage. The little girl found a paper that saved the man's company, but more importantly, she saved the man himself. And the man adopted the girl. The man adopted the girl. And they became a family, not perfect, but real. They learned that home isn't a place, it's the people who stay." Emma smiled, eyes growing heavy. "I like that story." "Me too. It's my favorite." "Papa, do you think my mom and dad would be happy?" Michael's throat tightened. "Emma, I think they're watching from heaven, so proud of how brave you've been. And grateful you found someone to love you the way they did." "I think so too." Emma yawned. "Papa." "Yes, I love you." Michael's eyes filled. First time she'd said those exact words. "I love you too, Emma. More than anything." She fell asleep, holding his hand. Michael sat there thinking about that December night. How desperate he'd been. How certain his world was ending. That world had ended, the world of empty success. That man died in a frozen bank doorway, and someone better was born. A father. A man who understood real wealth was measured in bedtime stories and 3 hand squeezes that meant, "I love you." $870 million sat in his accounts. But none of that mattered compared to the sleeping child in the next room. Tomorrow they'd wake and make breakfast together, navigate their imperfect, beautiful life. But tonight, Michael Hayes, Papa, slept peacefully because he finally understood what mattered. And she was sleeping in the purple room down the hall, 1 year later, December again. Michael stood at the windows watching snow fall, just like that terrible night. But everything was different. "Papa! Papa! Come see!" Emma's voice rang through the apartment. His 8-year-old daughter stood beside their Christmas tree. Pajamas, longer hair, fuller face from regular meals. "The presents, there are so many." "You've been very good this year." "Papa, I got suspended for 3 days for arguing with my teacher about math." "You were right about the math." Emma giggled. "She said I was technically correct but procedurally disruptive." "Teacher speak, for you're too smart for your own good." Michael ruffled her hair. "Come on, hot chocolate." They settled on the couch. Outside, the city sparkled. Inside, their tree glowed with ornaments Emma had chosen. Books, stars, one that said Emma Rose Hayes' First Christmas. "Papa, can I ask something serious?" Michael tensed. "Always." "Do you ever wish things were different? Like, what if you'd never seen me? Your life would be easier." "Emma, I heard parents at school. They said you gave up dating and traveling because you have to take care of me. They said you sacrificed your freedom." Michael's heart broke. "Emma, look at me. Yes, my life is different. I don't work 70-hour weeks. I don't take last-minute trips. You want to know why?" Emma nodded, tears threatening. "Because none of that made me happy. I was successful and miserable. Then you showed me what actually matters." Michael pulled her close. "You didn't take my freedom. You gave me purpose, joy, a reason to come home better than anything I had before." "Really? Really? I'd choose you over freedom every single time." Emma hugged tight. "I'd choose you too, even if you make terrible pancakes. They've gotten better. They've gotten less terrible." Emma ran to her room and returned with a wrapped package. Michael opened it, a handmade book. The cover read, "The Paper That Changed Everything," by Emma Rose Hayes. Michael opened it, eyes immediately filling. Emma had written and illustrated their story. Stick figures showed a sad man, a girl in a doorway, a crumpled paper, a courtroom. The final page showed a house with two smiling figures labeled Papa and Emma. The last page said, "And then the man became my papa. And I learned that families aren't just blood. They're the people who stay when things get hard. Papa says I saved him, but really we saved each other. The end. Except it's not really the end, because we still have forever." Michael couldn't speak. He just held the book and cried, "Happy tears, right?" Emma patted his shoulder. "The happiest ever." Christmas morning brought chaos. Emma's friends for pancake breakfast, presents, games, laughter. In the afternoon, they volunteered at a homeless shelter, something they did monthly. Emma helped serve food and stopped to talk with a little boy around 6, sitting alone. She came back 20 minutes later. "Papa, that's Marcus. He's in foster care, but his family couldn't keep him for Christmas. What did you tell him?" "I told him my story, about being scared and feeling like no one wanted me. And I told him things can change really fast. That one crumpled paper can change everything." Emma looked up. "Can we invite him sometime so he knows he's not alone?" Absolutely." Driving home, Emma was quiet. "What are you thinking?" Michael asked. "I'm thinking about last Christmas. I was under a bridge, and I wished on a star for a family, for someone to want me." Emma smiled. "And 2 days later I met you." "What would you wish for this Christmas?" Emma thought carefully. "I don't need to wish for anything, but if I could wish for other people, I'd wish every kid like me finds their person, their papa who stays." Michael's eyes blurred. "That's a beautiful wish. Papa, when I grow up, I want to help kids like me, tell them things can get better, that they're worth staying for." "You can do that, Emma. You can do anything." That night, after Emma reading chapter books now, Michael tucked her in. "Papa, you don't have to stay every night anymore. I'm not scared like before. I know, but I like being here. Is that okay?" "It's okay. I like it too." Michael watched her fall asleep, thinking about the journey from that frozen December to this warm Christmas. He thought about Rachel in prison, hoped she'd find peace. He thought about Morrison's victims finally getting justice. But mostly, he thought about the little girl sleeping, Emma Rose Hayes, his daughter, his purpose, his family. Emma reached out in sleep, searching for his hand. Michael took it and squeezed 3 times. Emma squeezed back 3 times without waking. Their code, their promise. 1 year ago, Michael had stood here believing his life was over. He'd been right, that life had ended, but something infinitely better had begun. A life measured in moments. In pancake breakfasts and bedtime stories, in 3 squeeze handholds and terrible jokes, in choosing to stay when everything was hard. Michael Hayes, once nearly destroyed by greed, now understood the truth. Real wealth wasn't in his bank account. It was sleeping in the next room, dreaming of all the tomorrows they'd have together. He'd saved $870 million, but Emma Rose Parker had saved something infinitely more valuable. She'd saved him. The paper that changed everything hung on the wall. A reminder that salvation comes from unexpected places. Sometimes from a crumpled piece of paper, noticed by a child no one bothered to see. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important messages. Sometimes the least of us save the greatest of us. And sometimes in the coldest, darkest moments when everything seems lost, a little girl with bare feet appears holding the one thing you needed: hope. Michael kissed Emma's forehead. "Thank you for the paper, sweetheart. Thank you for everything." He slept peacefully, knowing tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges, new joys. But whatever came, they'd face it together. Papa and daughter, family, forever.